Hi, welcome back to Guessagaingaming with an update on my playthrough or playing of Shadow of Mordor, which I've been playing off and on for about the last week and a half. So a few thoughts. There you can see my ex-girlfriend in the picture. So it's basically, it's quite a fun game. I've had quite a good time with the combat. It's a little bit difficult to get the hang of it, but it's not impossible. I find in games generally I don't pay much attention to blocking. I usually am spending all my time shooting or wielding axes or swords or firing bows, so blocking isn't really my thing. I don't usually bother. So this game you do need to get a handle on that, and so that's been a bit of a problem. That's just my problem, that's not going to be anybody else's problem. As far as the game's concerned, I've gone around quite a bit of the map. You can see there is a lot of the map revealed. You get these little towers that you can unlock, and that means you can fast travel to different places. I've been to quite a few of the different towers. They go like all blue when you've done that, and that's all good, and that's where I am at the moment. So the game is quite fun. The combat isn't easy. Like I said, I'm not really good at blocking stuff, but which sounds weird, but it's just the way I play. Lack of coordination, probably. But it's quite fun. And how the game looks. Let me just jump down from this tower. There you go. You always start on a tower when you come back into the game or when you die. There we are. It looks nice. I don't want to get into a combat straight away, so I will just hide in a bush. Story of my life. Okay, that guy's going to come over here, so we'll just show you how combat works, because you can see what I mean. My style of combat is hit and roll. But it's quite fun, and I was doing that, and like I said, I'm not the best person at that kind of hand-to-hand melee combat, so it's quite fun, and that just worked out. I got shades in combat, so the combat's fine. The way the game looks is good. It still looks good now. I think it's going from 2014, so that's all good. But the problems with the game are, firstly, you have, oops, I always do that. You have these, which I said in the original video. You have all these different orc bosses, and when you fight them, if you win, you get bonuses. If you lose to them, they kind of rank up, which means they kind of know your style of play and they're harder to kill next time, which is an interesting. I like the system a lot. I think it's a really good system. I think it's a really unusual system, and I remember reading ages ago that they copyrighted this system and how this works, so no other game can use it, which is a shame, because it would be a really good system in lots of games. But it's a really good system. It's really interesting that you sort of fight somebody and come back. But they come back, but it does mean you have a lot of, you can't save this game, so it means you have a lot of pressure on the fights when you fight any of these, because if you lose, you will come back at one of those towers, you'll just respawn, but it means that that person, or that orc, not person, has leveled up, so they get stronger. So it can be difficult for that reason. It's fine, but look, I wouldn't say it's an easy game at all. Not just because I'm not that great at melee combat, and because I'm not that good at blocking and defending, but also it's just not an easy game. And I will also tell you why it's not an easy game, and this is the main reason I find the game difficult. So there's a lot of these bosses, they're all over the place. You do get upgrades and things. I've got quite a few already. You get different things you can put on your sword and on your daggers, and etc, etc. So there's a lot of these bosses, and the problem is, and this is the thing I found is the biggest problem with the game, is that wherever they are, when you go to kill them, it's very, very hard, almost impossible to kill them in any other way than they will suddenly end up, they're always in camps or with other soldiers around them, and so you'll end up fighting a whole army almost of different orcs attacking you while you're trying to kill this boss. So if killing the boss wasn't difficult enough and you can never stealth kill them, then it's annoying because suddenly any orc that's in the area will keep running to attack you, and they usually have some soldiers around them anyway. But even more annoying, and I don't like this system at all, when you go to fight one of the orcs, often there'll be a little shining emblem that will say, do you want to start the fight against this boss? And you'll have to trigger it. And the problem with that is you can't plan for that at all. So if you would go into a camp and you're going to fight all the orcs in the camp to kill the boss, at least you can kind of plan. You can see where the orcs are. You can plan a kind of, let's shoot some of the archers down with a crossbow or a bow, but let's creep around that way. But because of the way it decides you've got to start a mission in a specific way, like you have to start, let's trigger the mission, then you don't have any option to plan ahead. It literally means usually that the boss is either somewhere and you've got to work out a way to get in from scratch, or B, and this is the most common one, you end up with the boss with 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 soldiers, and you're going to have to try and take out the soldiers using stealth first, then fight the boss. The problem with that is that it's almost always the case that even if you fight the soldiers and kill them stealthily, which is usually okay, you can usually do that, creep up behind them, they don't usually notice. But when you get to fight the boss, some more orcs that are randomly nearby, because there's orcs all over this map, will suddenly start running at you. So you still can't fight the boss on their own. So it becomes more difficult. And the longer you play the game, and like I said, I think I'm level 22 now, the more it will become difficult, because although you're leveling up, the orcs are leveling up. So it's a hard game that's that although you get better, the enemies get better too, and that's fine. But also, like I said, it's not just the bosses. You've got all these other orcs, whether they're in the army of the orc you're trying to kill, or they're just random orcs wandering about. And sometimes literally you can attack a boss, and because of where they pick this fight's going to be, there's like an orc encampment next door, and you've got like orcs running at you all over the place, and it ends up and the only way I can describe this is a sketch from Benny Hill, if you know Benny Hill, where he used to have this sketch where he'd run around with all these people chasing him with this funny music, which I won't try and do, and it was quite comical. And this is how that ends up, because you can't fight the boss and 20 orcs at the same time, so you'll end up running away, running round and round in circles trying to find healing. That's another problem I'll come to that in a moment, while all these orcs and the boss chase around after you in this kind of corridor of orcs following you fashion, which is weird. And another problem is you can't heal yourself. You have to find herbs in the game, which there's quite a lot of them, but they're not always where you want them to be. So instead of having a healing potion, you have to run around looking for where they are. See if I can show you one on here. So I can't find them now, but go away. Yeah, they're lying around all over the map. And they could be anywhere. I probably won't find one now because I'm looking for one. But is that one there? No, that's not. Oh yeah, it says herbs. So yeah, they're all over the map. There's one, herbs. You can see that. And no, I don't like this video.